Good morning, folks. This is Deb Delapiana, and this is your Shut the Fuck Up. It's coffee, right? Really good coffee, I might add. And it's info. So let's start with all of the people who, and I'm talking about the people who are running for office, were out there during the height of the voting, talking about things like, inflation, gas prices, recession, how the Democrats were doing nothing about it. And then let's look at the first thing the GOP gravitates towards as they take power back in the House, which, by the way, we're going to talk about that afterwards. They celebrated their win. And I mean, it's really rather a flimsy win at that, by having a Second Amendment committee meeting and inviting Kyle Rittenhouse, the now blue-checked certified loser on Twitter, who is also a killer and a thug, and by announcing an investigation into Hunter and Joe Biden. So let's talk about Hunter Biden's laptop here for a minute, because that's the crux of all of this. We've been hearing about Hunter Biden's laptop since Donald Trump left office. This is all they can talk about. Let's talk about the laptop. First of all, let me just say this. The GOP is wasting your taxpayer dollars, and anyone who don't think they are can shut the fuck up, because this whole thing was investigated prior to the election in 2020 because they wanted to torpedo Joe Biden's candidacy. And the investigation by the GOP then, per Ron Johnson himself, is that there is no smoking gun, nothing they can find that they can tie to an actual crime. Now, we all know that Hunter Biden is not a good guy. We know he's got tax problems, and he's more than likely going to be charged for those tax problems, okay? But now we have a reinvestigation of his laptop. And let's talk about that laptop, because the guy who leaked that laptop, who actually looked at that laptop, is now putting out information that suggests that he is suspect of what's on that laptop now, because he thinks things were added to it. This is an article, by the way, from the Washington Post. The article about the original investigation was from the New York Times, where Rudy Giuliani actually told the Times that he was hoping they wouldn't have to vet any information on the laptop drive. Anytime Rudy Giuliani is involved with evidence in anything, it should be roundly discredited. He's a fucking liar. He's been disbarred, folks. But there are 3 files on there that this guy doesn't think was on there originally. One of them is called the big guy file, and the GOP has been out there on Twitter saying that's about Joe Biden. So they must know because they put it there. Someone did. Mail and salacious pics package. What person avoiding guilt would ever name their files that? Only those names would come from a party whose new anointed leader names his legislation the Stop Woke Act. What the fuck is that? The big guy file, salacious pics package. Spare me, okay? When the guy who leaked the original information and examined the original drive is saying that there's maybe something here that wasn't here originally, no wonder they want to have it looked at again, because maybe Rudy Giuliani had shit put on here. That's where I'm going with this, and it's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let them go ahead and do it. They're wasting your money. You're okay with that? I can't help you, okay? I'm not okay with it, but you might be. Maybe they don't have anything to do to help you out, because that's not what their inclination is, actually, okay? Secondly, Lauren Boebert. You would think by now her own party would tell her to shut the fuck up, because she's out there talking about how great it is that we fired Nancy Pelosi. Lauren, your vote lead is now at 551, and they're still counting. There'll be another dump of numbers today, and you may actually be in the realm of automatic recount, and you might not know that you've won until sometime in December. You haven't won this thing yet, and yet you're celebrating a woman who has, by the way, risen to power at a time when women didn't do that. served her country with distinction for 2 decades. Do you think you're ever going to get there? Because you might not even make it to a second term. And I can promise you, judging from your first term, all you do is tweet. You actually don't do any real work. You are never going to have the chops that Nancy Pelosi has. Okay? And I'm not saying I haven't had my issues with her, because you know what? When it comes to politicians, you're always going to have some issues. But do I think she's a person to be respected? I absolutely do. Do I think that you are a person to be respected? You can shut the fuck up, because that ain't ever happening. You are useless. You were predicted to win this election in a fucking landslide. A landslide. Which again, people, let me just tell you this, don't pay attention to the polls. Don't. They're paid for, by the way. Most of them by corporations. Lauren, you might not win this thing yet. So if I were you, I'd shut the fuck up. Let's talk about Madison Cawthorn, a man who declared yesterday that he would follow Donald Trump for the rest of his life. Madison Cawthorn may be following Donald Trump for the rest of his life because he just went down to Florida and bought himself $1 million mansion. But in the meantime, he's already vacated his offices, left his constituents high and dry with no one to talk to, and has missed a slew of votes because he didn't win the primaries. He has already emptied out his office. He doesn't understand that he is actually paid by the people until January. Is that what I'm led to believe? He's actually being paid to not do any work. Where's the GOP in all of this? Why isn't the GOP reining him in and making him do his job? Do you think if you and I ever did that, we would be able to keep our jobs anywhere, let alone in government? Madison Cawthorn has abandoned his district, of which he is still employed, and he is paid by the taxpayer, and his offices are empty. His staff isn't there. His phones are going unanswered. And yes, I understand that both sides of the aisle vote by proxy when they can't be there, and Democrats do it as well. But this man literally has vacated his office 2 months before his term is up. To me, if the people in North Carolina are fucking rip-roaring mad and on the phone and calling the leader of the GOP, who would that be? Kevin McCarthy? He's useless too, but that's neither here nor there. And they want to complain, but you don't want to do anything about it, you can shut the fuck up too. Madison Cawthorn is a lowlife. And I wonder where he got that $1 million to buy a mansion. Because he lied about a lot of shit, including his business and how much money he's made. And that's why he didn't get reelected. Scumbags. That's who is right now in power in the GOP. Scumbags. And they all need to be removed. And they all need to be voted out. And that is going to take time. So you better gird your fucking loins for the battle, because they need to go one way or another. Now, let me say in closing, if you don't think that we need Raphael Warnock in the Senate, you can shut the fuck up too. This is no time to relax. Do you really want to listen to the ramblings and the inanity of Herschel Walker for 4 years? Do you think he serves any purpose in public life? His latest rally cry to his constituents for the voting process for the runoff is to talk about how werewolves can kill vampires, and now he wants to be a werewolf with his folksy style of, no, just stick with me, people. You know what? Herschel Walker is a bona fide moron. The Democrats need to get out there and vote. We need more than 52% of you to get off the sofa. We need to keep Herschel Walker out of the Senate. And I am done here. We are running out of time, and I will be back later with more information for you. Talk to you soon.